What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is March 25th of 2018. Well, folks, it's time for a Coins of the Month video here on the DataDash channel, and today we have a lot of exciting stuff to discuss here on our video as we step into the month of April. As you all know, for the past few months, there's been a lot of FUD and talk in the market when really the fundamentals haven't changed, and if anything, they've taken more of a positive tone as we've seen more projects and innovation continue to flow into the space. So because of this, with all this new excitement that's coming in the month of April as well as in the past month of March, I'm starting to think that we're on the verge of a potential altcoin cycle to the upside. So a lot of investment potential in this market, as well as a lot of opportunity to expand blockchain and other decentralized technology adoption. Now, before we dive into the rest of the video, guys, as always, keep in mind, this is not financial advice. This is simply just my own opinion, and you have to go out and do your own research before you make any serious investments, guys. And that's why I'm going to provide a ton of resources to all of the different projects I discussed today down in the description, and there's also a ton of resources online that you can dive into as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the main topic before we jump into the different projects. The main focus, guys, is just like what we've been talking about since March and February, especially this month as we step towards potentially the altcoin cycle to the upside, and that is protocols. Protocols or enterprise platforms are the future right now. They're the focus point. There's a lot of potential for these to grow, and a lot of them are still highly undervalued but have strong fundamentals or unique aspects that make them prone to potentially going up to the upside. So the first one we're going to be talking about today is POA Network, originally known as Oracle Network, and there was a big change in the name towards POA Network because it stands for Proof of Authority Network, and we'll learn a little bit about what that means later on and how it makes POA Network unique. So starting off, though, the numbers are really shining right now, guys. With a valuation at only $75 million, this seems to me like a really good opportunity. I thought when it launched on exchange, we would see a much higher valuation, but luckily we have a lower valuation, which provides a solid opportunity. Now, I'm going to let you all know I've already bought a long-term position in POA. I did not know it was going to already be listed on Binance, which is really good. It's first exchange, especially in this competitive environment. So I built a long-term position in this, and most of the circulating supply has been distributed out of the total supply. So most of the circulating supply is out there, or most of the total supply is out there in the circulating market and being traded and invested. And we can see here that it's had a solid launch so far, and the Satoshi comparative is quite low compared to where it started. So again, we might be able to see a really good opportunity and a reversal of price, and I'll take a look at that later on when we do some technical analysis. But to talk a little bit more about the fundamentals here on POA Network and talking about proof of authority, I want to start off by saying that POA Network is what your standard protocol is out there. It's aiming to execute smart contracts on the network. It's trying to provide a platform for decentralized applications, as well as serving as a sidechain off of Ethereum. So there's a lot of positive stuff here. It seems pretty standard until you get towards what really makes it unique. The fact that POA Network is really trying to help onboard small to medium enterprise. This is something that you see some protocols focus on somewhat, but some really heavily focus on in trying to realize their target audience. Small to medium enterprise is going to be the main adopters of these different protocols, guys. So what does POA Network really do to stand out compared to other protocols and make it an easy plug and play kind of protocol network to play with and build decentralized applications? Well, the website has a lot of interesting things on it that you can dive through. I'll also point you guys to the white paper later on in the video, and it's down linked in the description. But outside of this as well, what really makes POA Network unique is what's in the title of POA Network, Proof of Authority. So Proof of Authority is a new consensus system where it allows certain validators on the network who are pretty much elected by a given, for example, maybe an enterprise who's built their own blockchain or decentralized application, where they can go about actually validating the blocks on the chain. So within these validators, they're handpicked, they're selected, and they have an identity to them. Now, the importance of this is that there is an identity at stake in regards to being an individual on the network, validating things. So you have an identity tied to you that's unique, that has documentation to it. So because of that, there's a very unique system that is a sense of trust off of your identity. You are not anonymous in this sense. You have a sense of an identity on the network and play a role in validating very important transactions. So because of this, it's a very interesting system. A lot of people have been mentioning me for the past few months that they were interested in the Proof of Authority system, and I think it could work very well for an enterprise application that needs a sense of governance and leadership. And governance is also another big piece here. As you can see, there's a lot of interesting features, not only a 5-second block time, so faster confirmations on transactions, but no mining on the network and built-in governance as well. So again, if you guys want to dive through, there's a lot of other interesting stuff here. And for those of you who are big tech junkies and want to look past the video and some of the accolades they have on their website, there is the white paper here. But Proof of Authority Network, I'm really shocked, came out onto Binance first, because as much as I like it, it's gotten to be a really competitive environment for a lot of these new protocols to get listed on the big exchanges. So I think it speaks to a very high degree that they've gotten onto Binance first. And if you go through this white paper, I think you won't be surprised. There's a lot of interesting stuff in regards to POA Network. So without diving too heavily into it, guys, maybe I'll do a video in the future talking a little bit more about Proof of Authority Network. I want to talk a little bit about the current market stance right now. So POA Network launched on Binance just a few days, actually not a few days ago, sorry, a few weeks ago back in early March. And so far, really, it's been holding well around the 3,000 to 4,000 Satoshi range until today, where we got a really nice pop-up of institutional volume coming in. So because of this, I'm getting really interested that this could potentially have what's known as a ICO reversal. Now, ICO reversals are very akin to what is originally known as an IPO reversal in stock markets. Most ICOs, just like IPOs, launch at pretty inflated valuations when they come into market, because there's a lot of excitement for those who weren't able to get in during the ICO or pre-ICO for that given project and the coin or token associated with it. Because of that, we've seen a really nice discount where the prices come down from 6,800 Satoshis all the way down to 3,100 at its bottom. And right now we're starting to finally see some extra institutional volume come in, a few million POA coins coming in as a buy signal over the past few hours. And we're starting to see the price action might take up a little bit more upside. So for those of you who don't know what an ICO reversal is, in simple terms, it's basically where you have a high overinflated price, a sell-off, and a flattening in price, and then a curvature back up to the upside. Now, if we can make it back up to the upside, that's already practically a 50% return from where we are right now, which is why, again, I built a position on the flag price today. I was really excited when I figured out that it had launched on Binance. I've been following the project for the past few months during its ICO phase. And because of that, I wanted to make sure to pack in a position here in case we have an ICO reversal. And if it comes up to here, not only would that be a 50% return, but with an ICO reversal, you tend to see that if it reaches those highs again, you're going to see it shoot to a much higher level. I think POA can do this. And the big reason I think it is not only because it has strong fundamentals, but because it's sitting at a $75 million market cap. Much cheaper than most protocols out there that are really serving on the forefront of innovation in protocols rather than ones that have been around for a while. It might be lacking in innovation. So really like this. Again, this is almost like a nulls, like where it's in the very low valuations standard right now in regards to price, and I think it has a lot more room to the upside as we take the next altcoin cycle coming up over the next few months. So keep an eye on POA, guys. I think it's a winner, but again, you've got to go through and do some research on it. There's really exciting stuff going on with POA. So next up, we're going to talk about Oyster Pearl. So this is one that many of you might have heard me talk about in regards to my undervalued projects back a few months ago in the cryptocurrency space. I really love Oyster. So we're going to talk a little bit about Oyster in just a moment. But again, valuation is looking key here, guys. A nice small cap here that could do very well over the next few months. Again, as we talk about the news later on, that could lead this to becoming valued much higher. We also have a good circulating on the total supply here. And obviously, though I'm not going to be doing any intense TA on this because I don't have any really good charting platforms with Oyster's price, we can see here that the market cap is flattened out and the Bitcoin comparative is looking like it might start curling back up and possibly get back up to this range we saw back in December and January. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the fundamentals. Now, for those of you out there, I think most of you know what Oyster is to a degree, but for many of you out there, you might not know what Oyster is, and you might know of a severe issue on the web, and that is advertisements. Advertisements are a complete pain, not only to the user experience on websites. I think many of you know on YouTube, sadly, I have to run advertisements for revenue, but it's a serious pain because it's not only annoying to the consumer who's using the website, but along that as well, it's annoying for someone hosting a website or any kind of web platform. Think about it. There's a lot of retail or, real estate space that's taken up on a website for advertisements, and that's how they depend on their base revenue. If people aren't clicking on those ads, they're not generating serious revenue. It's very, very minimal. So because of that, we have a really awesome solution here, and that's Oyster. And Oyster is basically trying to knock two birds with one stone. It's trying to create a cloud storage platform where you can store pretty much stagnant data, pretty much for any kind of storage of cloud data and anything. You can do files, you can do all types of movies, images, things like that. And along with that as well, build a revenue generating stream for those on web platforms, people who host websites with a very simple input. So I recommend, if you haven't seen it already, go watch this video here, go through the website. They have a nice little storyline here. But the major focus is that it really only takes one line of code to start earning Oyster for people who are web hosts, people who are hosting their own website. And you can see here, you simply put in your Ethereum address, insert it into the code for your website, and you can start generating Oyster. Basically what it does is it uses a little bit of computational power off of the mobile phone or computers of individuals visiting your website. This is very akin to what the Pirate Bay did with Monero a few months back, pretty much running in the background, very minimal computational power consumption, and earns Oyster. It's pretty much like a mining process, a miniature mining process that earns an income stream for those who use Oyster on their website. And Oyster can be used as a currency for the cloud storage on the Oyster network. Again, knocking out two birds with one stone. Now, why is there a lot of exciting stuff coming for Oyster here? Well, not only have they, since we last talked about it, gone through a really stellar rebranding, they've expanded the team heavily here. I want to take some time to scroll down here and take a look at the team. If down here, there it is. I was thinking it was almost not on the page. They've completely expanded the team from the 2 to 3 people they had when we last talked about Oyster. So really good to see that they've continued to expand the team. That was one of my concerns back then. But along with that as well, at the top we can see that they're about to do a new token drop, and that is the new era that they're talking about in regards to Oyster and its objectives, and that is shells. So whereas Oyster, as we go through here on the Medium article, really focuses in on trying to provide a platform for cloud storage, really stagnant data, or static data, I think is the proper term, static data storage for those who want to store on the Oyster network in a decentralized manner. Along with that as well, they want to provide a platform for decentralized applications, or dApps. So that's basically what Shells is going to offer. And if you're owning any Oyster Pearl, you're going to, in the next few days, obtain some of the shells that are going to be airdropped. So again, if you want to see some of the potential use case scenarios, a lot of them are the same things that you usually hear about with dApps and stuff. They're going to be talking about offering platforms for decentralized messages and calls, and being able to do things in the sense where it cannot be tracked by ISPs, things of that sort. So lots of interesting stuff going on here. I'll leave the Medium article link down below for those of you who are interested, as well as the white paper on Oyster Shell. So again, it's really exciting, guys. Though again, I'm not doing any crazy TA here. To find Oyster down here with airdrop news, as well as a rebranding, as well as expanding their team, as well as the ambitions with the airdrop of Oyster Shell coming out and coming out with the opportunity to turn Oyster into a protocol platform is really, really interesting. So I'm going to keep my eye on it. I think it's going to probably get listed on a few more exchanges over the next few months. It's been stuck in Cryptopia and a few others. That's why I have, again, still have my not a short-term position. It's not a massive position, but I still have my long-term position on Oyster. I think it's going to turn into a much larger position over time in the sense of valuation, because I really do believe in Oyster. Again, still see it as very undervalued ever since I've talked about it back in January. So last but not least, guys, Neo. Now, Neo is, again, as you all know, one of the projects that really excites me based on the eastern part of the world in China. I'm a big fan of Dao Hongfei, as well as all of the innovation that's just generally going on in Neo, as well as the ambitions in regards to 10,000 transactions per second, and all the partnerships that I think Neo can land over the next few months. So as we can see here, taking a look at valuations, I think many of you are very familiar with Neo. You guys know that Neo had a great run up back in December, not only then, but also when it was Ant shares back in mid-August. I've been covering it ever since then. I really am a big fan of the project. We can see now that Neo has gone from a valuation of $10 billion down to about $4.2 billion, so more than a 50% discount, and we're obviously approaching some good technical indicators, as I've talked about on the channel, so we'll take a look at that in just a little bit. But again, Neo has had a lot of good developments. They've been going on a massive tour talking about innovation, as well as meeting up with developers, doing workshops, and talking about the new exciting stuff. They launched Mainnet not too long ago, as well as really branching out a lot of the recent kind of conferences and meetings. They've been talking about developing the Neo ecosystem and how expansive Neo really is aiming to really become over the longer term. We talked recently actually about ontology. This is basically going to be the identification layer of the NEO ecosystem. Really exciting project as well. So when I'm bullish on NEO, much like I am here, guys, I'm bullish on ontology. I'm bullish on gas. I'm bullish on the entire ecosystem in regards to it because I think they're going to have an easy time going off the ground and really gaining traction over these next few months coming up. And I think a lot of that anticipation is going to be coming in April. So keep an eye on it, guys. If you guys want to learn a little bit more about NEO and all the ambitions in regards to its economy, really recommend you not only check some of my resources, but check out people like Blockchain Brad, who's obviously is an avid fan of the NEO Foundation, as well as the entire ecosystem around it. So I recommend you go check out people. Really a lot of exciting stuff going on in regards to NEO. Now, to talk a little bit more on the technical side of things, guys, I want to spend some time talking about why I'm really bullish as a trader on NEO. First and foremost, we can see that we've obviously finally got a little bit of a discount on NEO. I was, for a while, kind of bearish on the price range because we were still hovering around all-time highs, but we've now gotten a pullback to the indicator I've been looking for, and that is the 200-day moving average. And as we step into April, where excitement's going to start coming into the altcoin space, and I think protocols are going to take a lot of that interest. We not only have the MACD getting close to a crossing, but you also have the 200-day coming in to find support here, as well as an RSI that is oversold. We haven't seen NEO this oversold, generally speaking, since all the way back here in December of 2016. This seems like it could be a really good opportunity. Now, again, there's always other technical indicators to look at as well. I'm really believing on this rather than being just a trading opportunity and a fundamental opportunity to add low. So again, I'm going to be trying to add to my NEO position. I haven't exactly added it yet. I want to see more than anything that it's going to find support on this 200-day moving average. This is a vital sign in regards to these altcoin cycles and seeing whether or not it's going to hold here, or like in the past, we might have a little bit more room to go down. So keep an open mind and not being a perma bull on NEO as much as I really love the project. Keep a clear mind on it, guys. Wait for those technical indicators. We could see the RSI go even lower, as well as the MACD curling back down rather than having a cross. But again, I think it's in a zone where you can be a lot more comfortable rather than adding up here at 1,400,000 Satoshis. Having it at around 700,000 Satoshis at a 50% discount on its Satoshi comparative is a really stellar opportunity in my mind. So I'm definitely not going to let it slip past me if I get the opportunity. But again, keep in mind that it could go one way or the other, guys. We have to see if the fundamentals can remain strong and that we can get the volume coming in like we got back here in December as well as back in August. So anyways, guys, that's it for the top 3 coin video. I want to ask you guys down in the comments down below, what do you think? Do you think these are 3 good picks for the upcoming month, guys? Are any of you long on these plays? Do you have any that I might have missed for the video? And why are they picks that deserve to be in the April video that we just did? I'd love to hear down in the comments down below, get a discussion going and sharing all the information we can with each other, guys, because again, there's a lot of great projects going on in this space. I know it's very, very hard to get all 3 projects, or more than all the projects that I really like into one single video because we really are limited to 3 here. But there's a lot of great innovation coming in April, guys. I would say to get excited. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. So anyways, that's it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Stay tuned.